I stood alone in a prison corridor once. No tour group, no narration, just stone and air moving through it. And I remember thinking, buildings don't lie, people do. You ever stand in a place that feels heavier than it should? Not frightening, just heavy. I've walked through old prisons. Slowly, and when you move slow, you notice the bars, layer after layer of black paint. Underneath, rust. You touch it, and it stains your fingers. That's not legend. That's time. The iron decays. The stone doesn't. So you start asking, why build something this permanent for something this temporary? $780,000 in 1829 money, designed to isolate about 500 men. 500, each with a private cell, a skylight, running water, when most homes in America didn't have plumbing. Think about that. I stood in one of those cells once. No voices, no footsteps, just light falling from above. It looked like a chapel, except it was a cage. 23 hours alone. Over time, critics documented breakdowns, mental collapse. Charles Dickens visited in 1842 and wrote about the cruelty of isolation. But the architecture, careful, measured, beautiful. Why design beauty for solitary confinement? Auburn Prison, established 1816. 1890. The first execution by electric chair. William Kemmler. Electricity enters justice. They called it progress. But walk the exterior. Brick laid with symmetry, proportions balanced. You don't build like that if you think something is temporary. You build like that if you believe it represents something. So what did it represent? Order, power, control made visible? Opened 1826. Built in part by inmate labor. By 1963, 614 executions had taken place there. 614. Say it slowly. 614 men. The electric chair earned a nickname, Old Sparky. Hudson River fog drifts past stone walls. People tell stories about sounds at night. Metal doors, echoes, stories. The number, though, 614, is not a story. It's a record. California becomes a state in 1850, roughly 92,000 people. San Quentin opens in 1852. Over time, California centralized executions there, 215 hangings. Later, the gas chamber. Later still, newer methods. The method changes, the building remains. I've seen photographs of those arches at sunset. They glow, almost dignified, and that's what unsettles me. Why design execution with architectural grace? Missouri State Penitentiary, opened 1836, started with 15 inmates. 15. By the mid-20th century, it held thousands. In 1954, a major riot erupted. 4 inmates died. Dozens were injured. Between 1937 and 1989, 40 men were executed in its gas chamber. 40. Now it offers tours. People whisper about ghosts. I'm less interested in ghosts than in geometry. Cathedral-style entryways. Stone cut with pride. You don't carve entrances like that for something disposable. Federal prison era. 1934 to 1963. Maximum population, about 336 inmates. 14 escape attempts, 6 shot. 4 confirmed drowned. 5 vanished, presumed drowned. Isolation layered on isolation. Stand near coastal stone long enough, and you feel the wind hum through it. The iron corrodes. The structure stays. If efficiency were the goal, why elegance? Opened 1876. Designed for 480. Held more than 2,400 by the 1930s. 94 executions, 85 by hanging, 9 by electric chair. January 1st, 1986. A riot. Hostages taken. Violence inside stone walls. The towers look almost ecclesiastical, pointed, reaching upward. Why borrow sacred geometry for punishment? Opened 1880, 92 hangings recorded, 1927, a Christmas Day riot. 2 inmates killed, guards taken hostage. The prison sits beside the river, arches again, stone again. Johnny Cash sang about the train, but rope doesn't sing, stone doesn't either, it just remains. Philadelphia. By the first official United States Census in 1790, the city recorded 28,522 residents. Philadelphia County recorded 54,388. It was the largest urban center in the young republic. In that same year, 1790, the Walnut Street Jail was reformed into what many historians consider the first American penitentiary. The idea was simple: isolation, reform through solitude. But records from the 1790s already describe severe overcrowding. By the mid-1790s, inmate numbers had climbed into the hundreds, with reports exceeding 400 prisoners inside facilities never designed for that scale. Stone cells, limited ventilation, no modern sanitation. In 1793, yellow fever struck Philadelphia. Thousands died in the city. Jails were not isolated from disease. Stone does not circulate air. It traps dampness. It traps heat. It traps breath. I imagine a guard walking those corridors in 1793. Boot heels on stone, keys against iron. Outside, a city sick. Inside, men locked behind walls that do not move. Did he ever stop, look up at the masonry, and wonder if this was meant to last? Because epidemics pass. Governments change. I'm not denying history. Executions happened. Riots happened. Overcrowding happened. Men suffered. That is documented. But here's what lingers. If you were building something meant only to confine, would you carve arches? Would you install skylights? Would you invest vast sums in early America to create structures that look like monuments? I walked alone once in one of those corridors. No cameras, no narration, just my footsteps returning to me. And I remember thinking, buildings don't lie. Stone shows intention, and these prisons were built with intention, heavy intention. Maybe society wanted punishment to look majestic, maybe power needed architecture, or maybe the buildings had a different life once. I don't know. I'm just an old man with rust on his fingertips and questions in his head. Why permanence for confinement? Why beauty for punishment? Stone remembers, even when stories change. There's always a path in and a path out. Just make sure you know which one you're standing on. All right, that's enough. I love you all. God bless. See you next time.